I believe, the largest map, or one of the largest maps in the current map pool. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how these players are going to play this out in the end, specifically MaNa, because going into DreamHack Valencia, I would have assumed that the majority of the Protoss players would have adopted the quote-unquote new, it's been around for a while now, but the newer hero style, the hero approach to this matchup. But at the same time, the first PvZ that we were able to cast today, Riser was just doing his own thing.
Yeah. And part of me, there's a part of me that's saying, oh, that's the NA influence, It's because Riser is used to the chaos of the NA server. But I think it's pretty safe to say that while most Protoss players are kind of looking at the hero style because of how effective it is, most of them have their own spin on it.
Yeah, exactly. There are very many stylistic Protoss players that just, they do their own thing. And especially with this new map pool, there are probably builds that are a little bit more viable. Again, due to how choky this natural base is, maybe it's easier to get away with cheekier builds or be a little bit more defensive. Yeah, the maps will definitely come into play, or at least I hope so.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So for the most part, we are looking at things playing out nice and standard. Solar was forced to take in a natural base here over by the third location, and MaNa is just going for a standard gateway core expansion. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, everything kind of what we expect to see here. Solar, he doesn't stay in gas either for any kind of weird, crazy fast layer or fast Roach Horn shenanigans. The probe is here just to confirm and make sure, you are looking to take a third base. Okay, just making sure there's no crazy 2-base all-in coming, and he will be able to get away.
That probe is going to have a long and fruitful future.
We'll
Mining
see.
minerals.
He does make it all the way back home. Meanwhile, in the main base of MaNa, we do see it is going to be the stock standard Stargate opener, especially on a larger map like this. It makes a lot of sense. Going for something like Lava Depths, it takes that much longer to move out across the map. It means that the Zerg player has that much more opportunities to scout it and much more time to respond.
Yeah, plus, last thing you want to happen is to have your adepts halfway across the map, and all of a sudden you have a link flood coming into your base.
It can happen. It can happen. Meanwhile, I do like this from MaNa. He actually makes a Stalker after the first Adept to just deny vision, just to try and keep this Overlord in check, and is going to keep this opener that much more hidden, that much longer.
Is it hidden, though? Well, it is hidden in the sense that, Solar won't be able to confirm that a Stargate is coming his way, but yeah, with that Stalker, he can kind of make a little bit of a guess, right? That, yeah, you're not making a Void Ray coming my way. Nice target firing from MaNa.
Yeah, oh my god. Just like that, 2 workers go down at the same time the Oracle gets into the third base. 3 more drones get focused down as well. I'm a little bit shocked. Solar was clearly trying to keep those workers alive. I'm trying to get some spores up and running, but he was just a little bit too late.
Yeah, I feel like his drones were body blocked by the Brethren there, You'd see him trying to throw down that Spore Crawler, but he had a couple of drones there mining. It was a little unfortunate.
Yeah, and a great start here for MaNa. Of course, with the Oracle, he does reveal that it was a Stargate opener, despite the fact that the Overlords didn't make it in. With the second Oracle, he does get high ground vision, and he will get the Overlord.
You love to see it. Not that much dead air, at least not around the natural and main bases here.
Yeah, exactly. The dead area is kind of towards the north, kind of, but not really. So, yeah, MaNa, he defends beautifully, he deals some damage across the map, and he gets his third base up and running. Yeah,
not going to have too much difficulty here. Solar now transitioning out towards more of a Roach base build, or getting his tech, I should say. Yeah. And he is going to focus on Roaches.
And this is really interesting from MaNa, because something to bear in mind, this was not a triple Oracle opener. He only made 2. He didn't lose a third, he just didn't make the third. So again, he's preserving his gas a little bit more. He's also already working on his wall here at the third base, so he's cutting some corners. It means that he can't be as aggressive, but despite that, he killed a lot of workers anyway, and can he even get a queen?
He may be able to. I don't think there's enough transfuse energy. There is from the low ground queen just at the end there.
Okay, Solar, he does hold on to his queens, but again, like, he just hasn't really been able to be too aggressive. This does mean that MaNa, like, he's been really active with these oracles, but he also doesn't have that third one, so he's quite limited in his spellcasting, in his stasis traps, and how he can support his stalkers, but it may not matter because, again, he's got away with that faster third.
Yeah. He's completely walled off that flank right now as well, so he doesn't have to worry about threats from that direction. He is just warping in a ton of units, focusing on getting +1, and I think we're seeing MaNa adopt that hero style.
Oh yeah, it was definitely his own twist to getting here, but now he has +1, or he's working on +1. He has his Blink Stalkers. He's using these oracles to just reveal and clear up as much creep as possible. A great way to just maintain that map control here. And Solar can't really do too much. He doesn't really have much of a standing army. Roach speed is still a ways away, so MaNa has the opportunity to micro and just chip off whatever he can.
Yeah, really great Blink micro going on here, but I fear he may be on creep for a little bit too long. Losing a couple of units, but no big deal in the end here. MaNa was able to recognize, yeah, I don't want to overextend too much here.
Yeah, exactly, and there's a very delicate balance. Like, MaNa has to keep these stalkers alive. We were talking about it in Pattymac versus Kelazur, and it matters that much more in this matchup with this style. MaNa lost one stalker in that trade, and we saw how careful he was being. He wants to keep as many of these stalkers alive as long as possible, so he can eventually snowball.
And he's definitely getting there slowly but surely. He has 8 gateways right now, which is where you typically want to stop, at least in the mid game for a Protoss player. I believe he's missing the Robo facility, though. He is. So, yeah, considering how big of a map Cosmic Sapphire is, not having that Warp Prism to reinforce when he eventually pushes out is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, to be fair, Hero does delay his Robo for a long time, and he relies a lot more on, like, proxy pylons and gateways to reinforce across the map. Meanwhile, nice pickup here by Solar. Oh, actually doesn't get a single Zealot in the end, and because of this wall-off, like, MaNa has had a pretty easy time defending. There's only one way in, and, like, this map, you were talking about it before, not just with the natural ramp, the natural entrance, sorry, it's very choky.
Oh, yeah, even after you clear up some of the debris, there's still opportunities to force an engagement, especially when you're a Protoss player and you have access to force fields.
Exactly. Meanwhile, I love what Solar's doing, by the way. As we do have a little bit of a Zealot run by here, Roaches and Banelings are here to meet us, so the Zealots aren't going to find too much damage. At the same time, Stalkers try to push on in, but Lings and Roaches are here to meet them. Lings exactly what you want, and what I was going to say, what I love from Solar, is that he did prioritize those melee upgrades. +1 melee is already done, +2 melee is on the way for these Lings.
Yeah, it's almost like he's playing a ZVZ, where his opponent went for Roaches, so he decides to double down on Lings. In this case, well, MaNa is making Zealots, but he's not making Adepts, he's not making High Templar, and he's not making Colossus either, so might as well. This is the most effective unit in his Solar's arsenal.
Yeah, like +2 Lings and eventually +3 Lings do a surprising amount of damage to Stalkers. They're a great way to just surround, shut them down, just dive on top of them, and really kind of neutralize their blink capability, because sure, they blink away, but the Lings, they just chase them down.
Yeah, they're fast, even off creep.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, oh my god, the Oracles have no fear. They just dive in, get a couple of drones, a couple of Banelings as well, and dip on out. You have to be a little bit careful not to use too much of this energy, though, because again, the thing that's keeping these Stalkers alive, safe and sound from Lings, are usually the Oracles.
Yeah, you want to have that Pulsar Beam to act as a little bit of a deterrent as the Lings get on top of the Stalkers, but that might not matter for too much longer, as a Robo Bay is about to finish up right now for MaNa. He's going double Robo now, transitioning out, and I feel like he should go for a Colossus, but you never know. A Disruptor style, Blink Disruptor style especially, can still be extremely effective in PvZ.
I don't think this is a wrong answer. Personally, I would also love those Colossi, but here we go. It looks like he has decided on Disruptors. You know, they're a little bit more versatile, but they do require a lot more control, so we'll see if Solar can handle that. For the time being, ooh, getting caught out a little bit, and yo, Solar almost getting ready to sandwich the army.
Almost, but not quite. And I like how you put it there, like there. Yeah, pretty much is the wrong answer right now for MaNa, tech-wise. It all comes down to the execution at this point from him.
Pretty much, mate. Pretty much. You know, his Colossi would help against the Ling Bane, but not so much against the Roaches. Disruptors can do well against everything. They can. Meanwhile, because of all those melee upgrades, +3 melee is on the way, by the way, we have an Ultra Cavern coming in from Solar. Again, this is kind of the more natural transition from his army. Can he get there, though? Again, he does get on top of some of these Stalkers.
Yeah, battery overcharge is nice, but it doesn't really help against instant damage like Banelings. That Purification Nova did land on the majority of those Banelings, but that does also mean that a lot of MaNa's gateway units got caught in the crossfires. In the end, though, much better trade for MaNa than it was for Solar.
Yeah, that was the Nova that he needed. Meanwhile, the Baneling run-by is not stopping. It looks like the defenses have been breached. He's trying to go into the mineral line.
He got on top of those Disruptors, but Disruptors are armored units. They do have quite a bit of armor on them.
Yeah,
quite a bit of health on them, sorry. So, yeah, the Banelings weren't really able to get much done there.
Yeah, exactly. That was great positioning there with that Nova. At the same time, bit of a Zealot run by here towards the north. Looks like this hatchery is going to go down. We have a War Prism sneaking into the main base. More Zealots towards the left-hand side. Looks like these Zealots won't be dealing too much damage, but right now, MaNa just needs to buy time. There was so much pressure on this base. He has alleviated it, and he's taking flight. He's going to the sky.
Well, that's one way of neutralizing Ultralisks.
It really is.
Yeah, typically when the Protoss player goes Sky Toss and the Zerg players go in Ultralisk, you're gonna favor the Zerg player a little bit more because you expect them to have some Corruptors, and you expect the Protoss player to also have High Templar, which is what the Ultralisks are for. Not in this case.
Yeah, exactly. And the real problem right now for MaNa is that he cannot get another base up and running. That's the second time that we've seen a kill here on the 5th base of MaNa. He just cannot get a break. At the same time, though, speaking of the kill, we do see a kill on the 5th base of Solar. The Zealot run by, the Zealot warp-in, does so much. Meanwhile, the Lynx, they catch an Immortal.
And that's a pretty expensive pickoff as well. Again, not quite as high-tech as the Disruptors or the Carriers, but expensive regardless. And the fact that MaNa has been stuck on 3 bases for the longest time is going to have a pretty big knock-on effect. Both players pretty close to maxing out. Sola has a bank of 2,000 minerals. MaNa is only now getting close to the 1,000 mineral mark.
Yeah.
And he's got to spend it all again.
He's going to need it, especially because of this Baneling run by. We do see Banelings roll in towards the 3rd base. They do get defended, deflected over at the natural. Banelings do roll in, and they get some probes. Not too many, though. But at the same time, the carriers are actually moving out. And I kind of love this from MaNa because there isn't a lot of anti-air. We have Ultras, you have Lings, you have Roaches, Ravagers. What shoots up? A handful of Queens. But there's only 2 carriers, to be fair.
No, but this Spore Crawler, though, it's getting transfused. Meanwhile, the Lings are breaking on through. But this is such a good choke point to utilize. You know, already a natural choke point. MaNa made it even chokier with the SimCity.
He really did. Meanwhile, those carriers did a lot of damage. They actually killed those Queens. The Spore goes down as well. Nothing here shoots up, so the carriers are just getting so much value. I say that, but 16 Corruptors are on the way. You were talking about that bank. That tech switch is coming out from Solar. He was getting ready for those carriers. And do we have an ideal army here? You were talking about it before. There are no High Templar, there's no Storm, there's no Archons either, but a lot of Blink Stalkers. Yeah,
now a couple of High Templar are being warped in, but immediately going to be morphed into Archons, so they're not going to have feedbacks on them, or Storm either. I'm actually not sure if MaNa even researched Storm. That was a juicy Purification Nova, but is it going to be enough right now for MaNa as the Corruptors come in? Zerg is coming in from just about every single angle.
Yeah, exactly. The Archon's a little bit out of position. 1 carrier goes down. The 2nd carrier goes down as well. Only 2 carriers. Warp Prism gets taken out and does cancel that Warp-in. And just like that, it looks like MaNa's army is crumbling.
If that Warp-in finished, I think MaNa might have just won the game then and there. But this is giving Solar such an opportunity to fight back. He's stalled all of the momentum that MaNa really had. And now I wouldn't say we're even, but you know, both of our players are going to have to lick their wounds a little bit. Yeah,
and just like that, MaNa is transitioning into ground toss because we had a big commitment into all of these Corruptors. So it looks like this entire mineral line is going to go down. The base is going to go down as well. We have another cancel at the 5th base of MaNa. He just can't get the 5th up. It's just not happening. Not this game. But Solar's also losing a lot. If you look at the worker counts, MaNa ahead in probes.
MaNa is ahead in probes, but Solar did just take the gold base at the bottom left hand side.
Yeah, the gold base is coming into play. MaNa is running out of mineral patches. He's running out of resources. This base is still looking relatively healthy, but again, he needs to expand at some point. And Solar, he just used his caustic spray to take down this 5th base. He just can't get it up. But the gold is going to be coming in clutch. Quickly looking at the vision of MaNa, he has not scouted this base, by the way.
Ouch. Well, yeah, he has decided that he's going to allow Solar to kind of have that corner of the map, and he himself, he's going to be moving north and northeast. Yeah, he's going to be expanding towards the northeast.
He is trying again. I'm sure MaNa thinks he's in a better economic position than he is because he just took down the most crucial mining bases. But here we go. Oh, the Oracle does confirm, and there's nothing that shoots up. So just like that, no mining here at the gold.
This is why we say Oracle's one of the most valuable units available for Protoss players, well, when they have energy.
Pretty much, mate. Pretty much. Meanwhile, the main army of Solar are still trying to skirmish with that of MaNa. MaNa's ground army is looking pretty terrifying, to be honest. Again, it's one of those things where the Corruptors, they don't really have much of a use. Do we have a Greater Spire? No, we do not, so we can't see any Broodlords coming in either. This is getting a little bit scary for Solar.
Yeah, MaNa, slowly but surely, he's rebuilding his forces. You know, he's, again, decided to switch from Skytoss to more of a gateway style. These Corruptors trying to do whatever they can, and yeah, MaNa just he's trying to count to 5.
He's trying,
but Solar is not letting it happen.
He's really not, mate. He's really not. Meanwhile, here we go. MaNa is hitting this gold base. What's important though is that now we have some spellcasters. Infestors do come out here for Solar. One of them does get sniped.
And that had a lot of energy on it as well. A couple more Infestors are coming out. A couple of good fungals and a couple of good fungal bile combos can really shut down this army, but that requires a lot of finesse, and it requires these Infestors to stay alive. Solar has kind of been losing them unnecessarily.
Oh, exactly, but you know what? The fungals are insane. The surround is insane. It looks like Solar gets the fight that he always wanted. He takes everything down, even throws down a microbial shroud, because why the hell not styling on his opponent? At the same time, the Corruptors are going to be able to caustic spray down this base as well. Sure, there are a couple of Stalkers, but man, I don't think it's going to be enough. Up.
Maybe,
the overcharge.
Maybe the overcharge. Working double time, but pretty soon this caustic spray is going to work double time as well.
Exactly. Corruptors take down another base, and now MaNa, he's knocked down to half a mining base. At the same time, his main army got cleaned up. Those Infestors more than paying for themselves. The MVPs here for Solar. Such a scrappy, low econ game, by the way. Again, the economy is in shambles for both players. Solar on like 1.5 base economy, kind of. But, hey, with energy-based units, he can do whatever he wants.
Pretty much. They're not like Infestors aren't like carriers where you have to pay to replenish their ammunition every single time. Solar, and I appreciate this as well. You know, Solar, after winning the initial fight, he doesn't keep pushing. He knows that it's a massive map. MaNa still has enough production and enough resources to gather a couple of defenses. So Solar, what's that term called? Not cuts his... He doesn't cut his losses. He stops when he's ahead, and now he's making sure that he continues to be ahead. Yeah,
like he even uses these Corruptors to take down both of the Robos as well, so no more Immortals are going to be coming out. Like, the Corruptors have been insane this entire game. MaNa still cannot get another base up and running, but neither can Solar, I guess. But Solar's economy is just good enough. Supplies are still looking relatively even, but bearing in mind that a lot of that supply is in workers from MaNa, workers that aren't really doing too much.
Yeah, they're long distance mining because what can he really do from here? I mean, MaNa, he doesn't want to throw in a Nexus. Well, he does at this 5th base location. Maybe he can... I feel like he can defend it this time.
Yeah.
No? He shouldn't have enough.
Yeah, there's only 3 Corruptors, you know, so it's easier to hold on to, right? Like, real talk, if MaNa does get this base up and running, like, that's a game changer. Like, suddenly he can get back into this. He's going to have a decent economy, but those 3 Corruptors, they come back with a vengeance, mate.
Yeah, there's nothing here to defend other than 2 Stalkers. The rest of MaNa's army...
Cancel, puppy, cancel! Oh, God, cancel!
He does cancel it at the cost of 1 Corruptor. Not too bad here for MaNa, but he is kind of caught in the middle of the map right now.
Yeah, and you know what? In the midst of all this, Solar has gotten another base up and running. He's looking close to, again, getting that ideal army. He's ready for the Fungals. Oh, nice dodge, though, by MaNa.
Yeah, I just realized the majority of Solar's army supply is in these Infestors.
Yeah.
They have a ton of energy, and, you know, stacking Fungals, that's nice. Neural Parasite is even better. Actually, yeah, I was worried for a second. I was wondering, what are these infestors really going to do? But then I realized, wait a minute, he can neural parasite these Archons.
Yeah, the
everything.
Archon.
Literally, he has enough infestors to neural everything.
He really could if he wanted to. But yeah, the Archons specifically, both the Archons and the Immortals are exactly what he wants. Pushing in here is going to be almost impossible. And those two Corruptors are back. Oh no!
It's never going to happen.
It's never gonna happen. The detection was taken out. The infestors are slowly sharking their way in. MaNa is standing strong. He wants to try and force the engagement. He wants to try and take down this bastion of hope, this mining base of Solar. Meanwhile, those two Corruptors are still going to town and they may just kill it.
He can't keep getting away with it.
Ah, no, they're gonna get it! What? No! Oh my god!
How many times has that been cancelled? Neurals land on a couple of Immortals as well as a couple of Stalkers. They will get taken out pretty much immediately here. 2 Archons. That's the moneymaker right now.
Yeah, 2 Archons go down, an Immortal, a Stalker as well. These are losses that MaNa cannot afford, but he can't do anything about it. He cannot stop all of these infestors. There's just no way other than trying to outposition his opponent, and this may just be it.
Yeah, every high-tech unit anyway is getting neuraled. The Stalkers are getting surrounded by Lings, and this is the remaining army of MaNa, and it doesn't even belong to MaNa.
It doesn't. Everything gets taken down. MaNa trying to get this place up and running. GG gets called.
It doesn't even finish.
He never gets his 5th base.
Oh, no. GG, well played. A very unique game that was seen here on Cosmic Sapphire.
Yeah.
Not one that I thought I'd see in my lifetime.
Relatively scrappy. Like, that was kind of close, you know, it was very back and forth. But it did come down to the fact that MaNa, he just ran out of steam, he ran out of money, he just couldn't get that 5th base up and running. He did a really good job counterattacking and really good job just being able to maintain his army supply as well as he did. But, feels bad, man. That Nexus.
That poor location. He just wanted to build a home. He was never able to.
He just wanted a home, Solar. He just wanted a Nexus, but it just never happened. Feels bad, man. But outside of that, like, that was a really great game. I love the way that MaNa was able to, in a way, kind of abuse that map. But as we saw, because of all those choke points, relatively easy for a Protoss player to get up to 4 bases. That 5th base, though.
Yeah, it's kind of a map where it's kind of a double-edged sword in a way. You know, as the Protoss player, you can defend very easily, but you're also kind of locking yourself in. You're kind of isolating yourself a little bit and making it harder to expand. Or you can expand very easily, but you're also opening yourself up to get attacked left and right.
Yeah, I do think that that map specifically in ZVP, I don't know if it's ever possible for the Protoss player to take that gold base, like the bottom left-hand base. And because that bottom left-hand base is so exposed and so out there, like, there is only one real 5th for the Protoss to take. There is only one option, and because of that, it's relatively easy to abuse. Unlike a map like
we saw.
Yeah, unlike, say, 2000 Atmospheres or even Glittering Ashes, where there are more options for expansions. You can choose to expand towards the left or towards the right. Like, there are pros and cons to them, but it's, like, easier and you can kind of choose in that respect. On this map, it doesn't feel like you can.
Yeah. But for the time being, that's that map out of the way. We are instead going into another map that we haven't seen yet tonight, so... We're jumping into Data C, so I believe the only map that we're missing right now is Stargazer.
Yeah, we haven't been able to see Stargazer yet. I hope we will. Again, it's one of the more quirkier maps out there with the pocket base, with the mineral patches. But again, I'm sure we'll get there at some point. For the time being, though, time to tick this off your bingo card. We're finally here.
Yeah. The C drive, as I like to call it.
Oh boy. It is 1 a.m. here. It's almost 2 a.m. right now. Jesus Christ.
Yep. As we load into Data C, we're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have our red Zerg player coming down from the land of Korea, flying all the way here to Valencia, representing Kaizi Gaming. Kaizi G. He is Solar.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Data C, ESL, we have the Polish Protoss player himself representing Team Liquid. It is MaNa.
It's gonna take me a while to get used to the layout of Data C.
Yeah,
it feels like a regular map turned on its side. So
it's
I saw that pylon that MaNa built, that MaNa made, and it's natural. I was like, oh, proxy? No, it's a normal expansion.
Yeah, like you'll understand it like when you're I mean, I'm sure you understand when you're watching it, when you're playing on it as well. Like it's not even on its side, it's like on a weird angle.
Yeah, it's on an axis.
Yeah, it feels weird, the layout of this map, the layout of the initial 3 bases as well. It feels weird to play, but again, these are professionals, you know. I'm sure they are used to it. I'm sure they have been practicing, and yeah.
I know MaNa's been MaNa's been having a lot of fun with the new maps and custom games. Against a lot of the other players over in Team Liquid.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Team Liquid training facility, if you will. It's really cool that they set up that boot camp. You know, MaNa was there, Kellizer as well, Clem. They did post a lot on social media, on Instagram, about their shenanigans that they were having, their ping pong battles.
I haven't kept up. I don't know who won that ping pong tournament.
Yeah, like they were also like exercising at the same time. Like they were doing laps while while playing. A lot of fun.
Gotta keep fit, you know.
True.
Mind and body.
Exactly.
You gotta have your mind and your body to play StarCraft.
Yeah, the residual teachings of TLO still in Team Liquid.
For now, you need your mind and your body, you know. I'm pretty sure in the future, you're just gonna need your mind and your voice if Fear Dragon is if Fear Dragon's still developing that.
True. Not wrong. For the time being, we did see that MaNa did force the unnatural natural here of Solar. Nothing too crazy. He's still getting his 3rd base on location at 30 supply, as we would expect. Meanwhile, across the map, again, this is a relatively interesting ramp. Relatively wide, but MaNa is doing a great job at walling it off for the time being. Is going for a Stalker first. Interesting. Or Stalker second,
it's gonna be... yeah, actually, huh? But yeah, regardless, he is prioritizing the Stalker to come out, chase away Dead Overlord, because MaNa, you know, he's kind of over Void Rays at this point. He, I believe, was one of the first players to really utilize the Void Ray back about a year ago when the Void Ray meta was a really big thing. Now he's, you know, moving on to more exciting builds, namely Oracles.
Yeah, and because of the way of the pathing and of what this Stalker was able to accomplish, it's going to be that much harder to scout. Eventually, Solar will see this, and because he hasn't gone into the main base, I'm sure he will throw down some safety force at some point. But there we go. The Oracle has been spotted because of Solar's aggression here at the 3rd. The Oracle is forced to stay here, make sure the 3rd gets up and running.
And with that, Solar back home, he's just going to be building a couple of Spore Crawlers, making sure that he has his defenses up and running. It is going to be a little bit awkward for these queens to go back and forth, but it's fine.
It's fine. We're used to it at this point. Like Solar, he's just, again, poking and prodding, looking to try and find whatever he can. He does get one probe and gets a kind of a pseudo surround on the Adept, but doesn't want to risk his luck. It doesn't want to lose his Lings a little bit needlessly. Gets a probe and then backs the hell up.
Yeah, tried to go in for a full scout, but there is that Stalker here to body block, so Solar, he knows that MaNa has a Stargate, not really aware of anything else.
Yeah, and just like the previous game, MaNa doesn't go triple Oracle. He only goes for 2. So again, saving that gas, putting a lot more reliance on these 2 Oracles. It's going to be that much more disastrous if he does end up losing an Oracle, so he has to be careful.
And careful he is, immediately turning around at the first sign of trouble.
Ooh, but
again, it's fine to never get any kills with these Oracles, as long as you keep them alive.
And at the same time, two Adepts do head towards the 3rd base. It looks like he wants to get a couple of drone kills, but the positioning, the body blocking is just too good. The Adepts go down.
I don't think Solar lost even a single drone over there.
Oh.
Well, the Oracle's trying to see what they can get done, and the answer is not a whole lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're kind of penned in right now by all these queens. I say that, but one Oracle does manage to sneak on by. Ooh, does waste some of its energy on a queen. Takes a lot of damage as well. Does get 2 probes in the end. At the same time, bit of a Ling run by is going to force a warp in back at home and maybe even kill a Stalker.
I don't see a shield battery here. Light. That wall was not a wall. The Lings do get in. And once again, you know, losing Stalkers early in the game not the biggest of deals, but it can have a knock-on effect, especially if you're going for such a gateway-heavy style that MaNa seems to be going for.
Exactly. That was 3 Stalkers, mate. 3 Stalkers just went down to a Ling run by. That should never have happened. Not the biggest of deals, as you were saying, but it does slowly add up. Meanwhile, likewise to the previous game, MaNa gets his third up and just completely walls off, making it that much easier to expand to defend his bases.
Yeah, he's expanding towards the south for this time, the southeast. I do think that Data C is a little bit of a... It's a map that's a little bit easier to defend than Cosmic Sapphire. You know, for one, the bases are kind of bunched up together like this. You're not going to be running across the map to defend one base, from one base to another to be able to defend.
Yeah, taking that 5th base, though, I mean...
it's a little exposed, to say the least.
I feel like this one is maybe okay, especially as opposed to the one towards the south. Meanwhile, Drop a Lord being set up here from Solar. He doesn't want to just be the defender. He doesn't want to just be the reactor. He is looking to try and sneak into the main base. There is no vision. Uh-oh.
Oh no. Please tell me there's at least a shield battery in that mineral line.
There's nothing in the mineral line. Meanwhile, we do see Lings again poking in towards the 4th base. An interesting thing is that we did see a 3rd Oracle built here from MaNa, so investing a little bit more in this. We do have some stasis traps being set up, but the Lings do get into the main.
Yeah, I like that he has invested more in his Oracles for that utility, but yeah, unfortunately the SimCity has failed him a little bit. Didn't have vision across his entire main base.
Exactly. Meanwhile, this triple Oracle has to deal damage. He does go in and he does get a decent amount of drones, but that's nothing compared to the amount of probes that he's still losing more, Yaku!
Oh no. I did not expect those Zealots, I think, were warped in here to get cleaned out by the Lings. Oh, actually, it was a natural bait. Why are they standing there?
Yeah, they were just chilling in the main.
The Lings?
They were on hold position. The Lings, they just left.
Oh,
they just left and went
no.
towards the natural and got even more probes.
Ay. And now Solar, he's pretty damn close to maxing out right now. MaNa still struggling a lot. I mean, it's 123 army supply of Roaches and Ravagers versus 50 army supply of Gateway units.
Yeah, Solar, he droned up to 66 drones, and that is all he needed. Now he's moving out across the map with everything he has. Roaches, Ravagers, even a couple of Queens. Sure, they can't transfuse, but they do add a little bit more of that DPS, and MaNa is not ready for this. He was having just a little bit too much trouble cleaning up those Lings back at home. He didn't realize what was happening.
The Oracle's went down to the Biles Light. That really tells you how desperate of a situation it is right now for MaNa.
Yeah.
He's trying to find a path to victory, but I gotta tell you, Light, I don't see one.
I don't see one either, mate. I mean, GG gets called, and Solar, he had enough. Game 1 was far too scrappy. It was far too close. Here in Game 2, he just goes for a massive push, pulls apart his opponent, and GG gets called.
GG, just like that. Solar is